Hello, readers of Adult Span Journal. My name is Dr. Elise Nolan, and I am so happy to be sharing a very brief overview of our article here with you today, Counseling Young Adults Regarding Spiritual Wellness, the Need and the Practice. So I am going to, over the next less than 10 minutes, do my absolute best to um, highlight and summarize a brief, short version of our article and its key takeaways for your edification. So thanks for coming along the journey. First and foremost, we have the introduction slide. So as I said, my name is Dr. Elise Nolan. I'm an assistant professor at Bowling Green State University. My co-authors are Dr. Fawn Gordon of Ursuline College and Dr. Kaylee Bradley from Ohio University. So as I said, we are here to talk about counseling young adults regarding spiritual wellness, why there's a need for it, and how we can practice supporting young adults in their spiritual wellness. So recognizing that the stage of young adulthood offers very specific crucible of development of identity and spiritual values, spiritual practices, religious values and practices are often part of that development, whether that is young adults who are exploring what their values are for the first time and thinking about spirituality in terms of who they are, maybe separate from their family, or maybe having a spiritual or existential crisis about a lack of meaning or purpose in their life. Both um, our research as well as our own experience as clinicians in working with young adults bears out the fact that just as recently as 2023, the percentage of anxiety and depression is rising among the young adult population. And one piece of that puzzle is been linked to a lack of meaning and purpose. So spiritual wellness is a framework and understanding that can address this lack of meaning and purpose and a sense of isolation and um, kind of loneliness, existential loneliness, if you will. So, real quick, we get into this way more in the article, but just, drilled into me to always define our terms. Um, we're using, when we say spirituality and religion, we're really linking this to Myers and Sweeney's 2004 um, wellness model that, is quite well known in the counseling field. That aspect of the essential self that says spirituality is um, a personal expression practice as a recognition that humans are more than the material aspects of mind and body. And these beliefs and behaviors might include belief in a higher power, hope and optimism, sources of hope and optimism, rituals, worship, prayer, meditation, meaning, purpose, moral values, and transcendence or a sense of oneness with the universe. And then religiosity indicates an individual's practice within an organized system of rituals and beliefs to access the divine. So the framework that we offer how to help young adults with their spiritual wellness is the WAYS paradigm, which we did not come up with, but we are applying it to working with young adults specifically. So this helps clinicians think about, regardless of what theories you use, whether that's, behavioral theory or choice theory or dialectical behavioral therapy or existential theory, whatever theory or um, kind of framework that you're already using in your therapy practice, the WAYS paradigm works to integrate spiritual and religious understanding into whatever theory you're using. So it's very flexible in this way, which is why we chose it. So there's three aspects to the WAYS paradigm. There's the ways of being, ways of understanding, and ways of intervening. So starting out with ways of understanding, I kind of jumped the gun and told you a little bit about it already. But it's formally defined as the body of counseling knowledge that explains personality theory, normal and abnormal human development, and different ways that people change. Um, And it's specifically the ways of understanding is to help us inform a person's knowledge of the human condition, exploring personal identity, understanding the reason behind suffering, how change occurs, and what it means to live fully. So, for young adults specifically, spiritual and religious beliefs, alongside humanistic or existential therapies, can address those psycho-spiritual themes of self-concept and meaning, while cognitive behavioral therapies and spiritual or religious practices can help reframe uncertainty, which is a high predictor. If young adults are experiencing a lot of uncertainty, that is a high predictor of levels of anxiety and a potential crisis of meaning and purpose. Next up, we have ways of being, which really relates to considerations regarding the presence and the current state of the counselor. It considers who the counselor is, um, to what extent we're expressing empathy, the values the counselor demonstrates, the boundaries that are set, and the importance ascribed to the counseling relationship. So, in terms of spirituality and religion, counselors can reflect upon the degree to which our own level of congruency with our sense of purpose and meaning could be influencing our clients' search for meaning. For example, if we are very uncomfortable going into existential topics, we might engage in experiential avoidance with our young adult clients who are experiencing existential angst, right? On the flip side, if we are have a strong connection to our own meaning and purpose, even if we're not self-disclosing what that meaning and purpose is, the ways of being framework demonstrates how our own connection to that influences our client's journey in anchoring to their own sense of meaning and purpose and spiritual wellness. And then last but not least, in terms of ways of intervening, those pertain to what we're actually doing in session, right? So what are the strategies that are aimed to enhance the spiritual wellness of the client? So there are three ways that we conceptualize this across the literature. The first are strategies that enhance the client's connection with their spiritual or religious values. The second uses techniques rooted in traditional forms of therapy, but integrating spiritual religious context. And then the third includes interventions related to spiritual religious practices with clients, either in session or as homework, such as prayer, meditation, other forms that we explore in our article. And then last but not least, I just want to make the mention too that in our article, we do discuss spiritual or religious interventions that come from Western traditions, Eastern traditions, as well as secular traditions and ways of understanding spiritual um, wellness. So there is that. Um, Implications for practitioners is that using that ways paradigm can help us develop competencies, as again, we found in the literature that a definite significant portion of counselors do report feeling unsure of how to help their clients when it comes to integrating spiritual or religious content into session or tending to their spiritual wellness needs of their clients. So we can use the ways of being to assess our presence in the therapeutic relationship, our own authenticity and congruence by tending to an exploration and kind of an reconnection with our own spiritual religious beliefs or personal sources of meaning. We can also recognize that counselors who reflect on how our clients view us might recognize opportunities for modeling or a need for a deeper understanding of spiritual or religious themes. Counselors can also consider how both counseling theory, whatever your theories are, and the integration of spiritual and religious themes can help clients make sense of the human experience and offer strategies for addressing common experiences. And then finally, to address developmental uncertainty, including that of a spiritual or religious orientation or identity, we offer self-reflective activities like journaling, ways that these activities might assist young adults in re-examining or exploring spiritual or religious beliefs in their own journeys. Concluding thoughts, our main limitation of this article is the need for more research to establish the efficacy of the WAYS paradigm process. We really recommend to any future researchers who are interested in this topic exploring to what degree spiritual religious interventions enhance spiritual wellness when working with young adults, particularly from culturally diverse backgrounds. And then we encourage researchers also to explore client perceptions related to counselors' degree of empathy, congruence, and unconditional positive regard, those core conditions. In terms of how counselors are embodying states of those ways of being due to their practice of spiritual, religious, or secular wellness types of practices in session, right? So those are our concluding thoughts. Thank you so much again for listening to this video, and we hope you'll check out our article found in Adultspan Journal. You can find us on our web pages of our universities if you want to reach out and connect on this topic. Thank you so much and enjoy the learning.